Hey, welcome to Kazoo Sports YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Rick Beach in here with Austin Island. We're getting ready for the big Clemson, Georgia showdown this weekend up in Charlotte. A lot of hype, all this talk with the injuries the last couple of weeks. It's on game day, everybody breaking it down, but you know we've got a couple more days, few more days, and it's finally going to kick off. Austin, what's the excitement level at?
I think it's at like a max, dude.
Yeah,
it's all-time high, I guess.
You know,
I mean, all eyes on this game for week one. I mean,
and that's what you want. And that's the whole point of scheduling.
Yeah.
These type games. I mean, you're not scheduling these games to try to get no preseason in college.
It is so funny because it is what people wanted, but you feel like the closer you get to game time, everybody's starting. You're starting to sweat profusely,
and you get the injuries, and you start thinking it'd be nice to start with a UAB type game, or Murray State in the past, Austin Peay in the past. But at the same time,
dude, I'm not gonna lie.
No, this is the kind of game. This is what you want. This is what the players come to Georgia for. And being a Georgia fan, this is what you pound your chest and say, hey, we're not scared to play these games. We're not one of these teams that want to play the cupcakes nonstop. And for Georgia, this is a chance to make a mark. 2017 was the last big win on a national stage for this team, and this kind of seems to be an opportunity that Georgia can finally say, hey, we deserve to play with big boys and be named, in them Final Four teams that people talk about all season.
Yeah, it's I mean, and then back to the small school thing, like you don't ever remember a game, like that. Even if you go to it or you watch it, you don't care that we beat Austin Peay 55-7 or whatever,
Yeah.
But even when you lose a tough game like this, you'll as a fan, the memory will stick with you.
Yeah.
Even if it's just something. I don't know. That's just me personal. I think it means more.
I understand.
I want to get rid of
games.
that altogether.
Well, even this year when Georgia plays Charleston later in the year.
Yeah.
Them games, I don't mind playing the UABs. I understand those schools need it.
Yeah.
And to an extent, Division II teams as well. But a UAB game, I get it's a nice little warm up, getting ready for SEC play.
Give me one a year.
Yeah.
I feel like with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, we'll have to add a conference game, so maybe they'll.
And you'll get rid of that. And like I said, you could play. You already get Georgia Tech. That's kind of one powder puff. Non-conference game. But having Clemson starting the year, a lot of talk. The Dabo Swinney. You got the quarterback. You got all this stuff with JT Daniels. Finally, we have a quarterback that's no QB battle all season. No controversy. It's excitement. Other than injuries, you think of the excitement level for this offense is through the roof.
Absolutely.
And for this passing game, but me personally, I think it's still going to come down to running the football.
Yeah.
And I think Georgia knows that. I think that's a lot of the
That's what I've been saying for weeks. I mean, it'll be so ironic.
Yeah.
If Georgia just comes out and tries to pound it, which I think they might.
And I think they should be able to get it with some success. You look at teams last year, Notre Dame comes to mind.
Yeah.
They ran the ball with a pretty high success mark against this Clemson defense, which has a lot coming back, and their defensive front is stout. That's their biggest weapon, especially on defense, is that defensive line. But you have to think this Georgia offensive line, who is getting a lot of talk about injuries and about not playing together as much. But look at you follow recruiting, every one of these offensive linemen were big names.
Yeah, they all are, and I think the whole 5 guys got to play together. I think that's a little overblown. I think these dudes know how to do their job. I think you can pretty much plug and play. I mean, obviously, if you are a guy who hasn't had much experience, there's going to be a curve to it.
Right.
But I feel like once you get over that, these guys can pretty much swap in and out as they please. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see probably a 7-man type rotation.
Yeah.
Going in, the Warren Erickson injury is alarming as far as not
able to snap. Center's big deal.
But if you got Georgia had this luxury, you go all the way back to Isaiah Wynn had it where he could just play inside outside. Now, he didn't play center. Cade Mays was somebody that Georgia had the luxury they could put him outside inside. He could play center. If you go way back when Trenton Sturdivant was at Georgia, he could go inside outside. So you're having the luxury of a guy like Sawyer, who's a 5-star, and he's a 5-star at any position on that offensive line, but not having I wish a Broderick Jones would have stepped up by now and taken that left tackle and put Jameer. But no matter how Georgia does, you're going to have 5 really talented offensive linemen, and at the end of the day, as you were saying, if he does his job, it don't matter. Well, well they came on that play
Yeah.
and just keep it going. I think that's going to be the success. I think Zamir is going to really tote the ball well. I think he's going to have his season that we've been wanting as far as what Georgia fans expected coming out of North Carolina. But I think Kendall Milton is the name that everybody's been saying. His size, his speed, his power, and I think everybody's excited to see what Deuce can do with the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he draws a lot of comparisons to a lot of different Georgia greats. Chubb, Gurley. I mean, he really is built like Gurley.
Yeah, he's built more like Gurley.
Runs that way. Very physical. And I think you're going to see Zamir come in and at least get his fair shot. But I mean, I think as the season wears on, you're going to see Kendall start getting these carries, and it's probably just going to be is what it is moving forward.
Yeah, I think you'll see like a typical opening game. You'll see more running backs in the rotation. It's hotter early in the season.
Yeah. And
plus, you don't really know who's that guy, who's that bell cow to just bring it in. Even back in 2014 against Clemson, coincidentally, you look at when Chubb and Michelle were just kind of, kind of seeing what them kids had, and you didn't know until you throw them in the fire. For Georgia, you don't have kids anymore. Mm-hmm. You got grown men, Zamir, James Cook. Then you got the Kenny McIntosh, and you got the Kendall Milton. And then Dejon Edwards is still out there. So you got a lot of backs who Georgia knows what they have. There's no doubt about who can do what. It's just, you only get one football.
Yeah, so you're saying the only thing we don't know, I guess, is who's going to be catching the balls.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue. It's not really an issue because, yet again, with the recruiting, this is what Kirby Smart's...
Just because something's a question doesn't mean it's an issue.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of guys that can catch that football at Georgia that's been around long enough. You look at Justin Robinson was a name a couple of years ago coming out of recruiting, and we didn't see him that much last year.
Yeah.
When you think
when you got George Pickens, I mean, why you?
Yeah, well, even you would still see him. You saw Jermaine Burton kind of jumped over him a little bit.
Yeah.
But Justin Robertson is a guy that'd be starting at most schools. He'd already be out on the field. But Georgia has so much depth and so much at wide receiver, but they don't have the experience of seeing that.
Well, I think Justin will probably end up being pretty good. And what I think people get misconstrued a lot, and including like the media types and the prognosticators and all that, is just because a guy gets jumped over doesn't mean that guy's not talented or it's just that these guys all have unique skill sets, right? So there was a place for Jermaine to get in where his skill set could be used, where at the time Justin Robinson's couldn't because of a dude like Pickens, you know what I mean? And his body type and his ability.
When you have him on the team, it's always going to take somebody out.
Yeah.
But when you had Blaylock last season, you figured. But that just shows how much Marcus Roseman coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of leapfrogs people, But I think Justin Robinson is the guy who still has that Jeremiah Holloman type.
Yeah.
Where Holloman didn't jump in there right off the bat.
Yeah.
But he was a big guy.
He worked his way in.
And he's a big guy, big body. And sometimes you need that, especially if you're going to be running the ball. And especially if you're running the ball with like a James Cook who's going to be on that outside. And, having a big body like that helps. But what's your excitement with Brock Bowers and all the hype coming with him the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to see it, before I buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Dude's a freak or whatever. Or he's a good athlete, but I just want to see it. That's where I'm at with it. I mean, I know that John Fitzpatrick is steady, and I know that whenever Darnell's back, if he is, he might make it for this game. I mean, nobody knows yet, but I know when he's in, he's going to be good. But I don't know nothing about Brock Bowers yet.
Yeah, we know Brock's small for tight end. He's especially for Georgia when you got two tight ends.
Now we did see him at G-Day. I mean, he looked pretty. He made some nice
He can
snags.
catch the ball, but Fitzpatrick is 6'7", Darnell's 6'7".
Yeah.
And you're going
6'7", 270.
Yeah, and you're going to a 6'4" tight end, which means he's more of a pass catcher.
Yeah.
And really and truly, that's what Georgia's kind of going to, that spread offense, which most offenses are already going to it in college football.
Yeah.
And so it really is not a big a deal, in my opinion, to have a smaller tight end because he's not your prototypical tight end. And that's fine. We know Darnell's going to come back. When? We don't know. I expect probably by the time we start playing SEC games.
Yeah.
But Fitzpatrick still could play this weekend. I think that's who Georgia needs. I mean, if you're going to get somebody back, he'd be a good one to have back.
Yeah.
And they're going to be – I think Georgia wants to run the ball this weekend. There's no doubt, no matter who the offense, the talent's there. I think even offensive coordinators that were aired out know if I got the talent, then I want to do it. I want to run the ball. I want to control the game on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, if there comes a time where they know they can start milking it and You know, I mean, obviously they're going to do that. Anybody's going to do that.
Yeah,
especially in a big time matchup.
Well, it's there's three things happen if you throw the ball. Only one of them's good.
Yeah.
So if you run the ball, you can control it that way. And if it's working, I don't see, even with the Tom Monken and all the hype coming in, I think the biggest thing would be having a Tom Monken that say, "Hey, it's working, so why get away from it?" Now flip it over to the Georgia defensive side of the ball. What matchups are you looking to on that?
I mean, I want to see Georgia's pass rush. I mean, what we hear about Clemson's offensive line and their last couple of outings weren't very good. So, we obviously want to see if we can capitalize on that front and pressure DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah.
And I want to see, if Jordan Davis is going to stay in the game on third down. Is he going to be part of the pass rush? That's really what I feel like everybody's talked about secondary all off season, but I mean, why not bring in more depth when you have the opportunity to? I think, even Kirby could see that, but I don't think it's you're worried about inexperience, but in today's college football, I mean, these guys come in ready to go. So
yeah, and I think more to your point is the front seven at Georgia. You finally have a front seven that's been around a while.
Yeah,
none of these guys are really that new. Even a Jalen Carter, who came in last year, still played.
They've all got meaningful snaps. A lot of them.
And you just go right from defensive line out on the edges. Linebacker is a lot of depth. And what better way to help your secondary than getting pressure on the quarterback?
Yeah.
Now, Clemson does have they've always had a running tight quarterback back there. Even Trevor Lawrence could get around. So, looking around at that, the speed of these guys, the speed of a Jordan Davis is surprisingly fast. So even for a big body, can he catch him downfield? No.
Yeah.
But can he contain the quarterback? And that's what I'm expecting out of him because we know the linebackers can.
Right.
From Quay Walker to Kobe Dean, Adam Anderson, inside, outside backers. And I'm like you, I want to see what's the word they use all the time, havoc.
Yeah.
What's the havoc rate going to be? I mean, you ain't got to get a sack every time, but, get hands in his face, force the missed time throw, and then have your defensive backs help you out.
Yeah. And I think I can tie all my takes in by saying this, and this might put me at risk of sounding overconfident, but Rick, you know me, I look at this stuff all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting, the Georgia fan in me is like, man, I got to find something. I mean, there's got to be something, Clemson does this and we can't stop that or we can't do. I mean, where is that on the field for Clemson that, Georgia shouldn't feel decent about what they can do against both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me in looking at it from Georgia as a fan is, like I said earlier, 2017 was the last real big win that we had.
Yeah.
When you look at on a big stage.
Postseason.
On a big stage.
Big deal.
Okay, so we had chances with Alabama last year in Alabama, even with the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
We had chances. We had a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. 2018, we had that game won. Rodrigo Blankenship field goal misses a chip shot. Instead of being up 17, we're up 14. Alabama obviously comes back to win. It's confidence in the team as far as saying, Bama fans can look at a game and say, okay, we can win that game.
Yeah.
And I 100% understand that. As a Georgia fan, it's hard for me to look at it and say, yeah, we got the advantage, but we're going to win that game. Because how many times have we lost that game that we have no business losing?
And that's what worries me about this game is because I can't find a marked advantage for Clemson, but yet in my mind I'm still like, we're still going to find a way to blow it.
Kirby Smart needs this win for himself as much as Georgia. Georgia can lose this game, and they're fine. You win out, you go to the SEC championship, you win that, you're in the playoffs. Yeah. But for you lose this game, and then for the next 11, all Kirby's going to hear about is can't win that game, can't win. Beat Florida by 100, don't matter.
Yeah.
Got to get to Alabama. Then, Lord forbid, you lose to Alabama too, and you had two matchups. Clemson, Alabama, and you lose them.
Yeah.
And so, Kirby needs this win for him, for his self as much as the team needs it. Georgia don't really need it as far as needing it to make the playoffs. You can lose it, be fine. Clemson, on the other hand, lose this game.
Yeah.
They may be in trouble.
Yeah. I don't know. If they went out, they'll probably get who's going to tell them no?
But they need other teams
Who's
to lose.
Going to tell them no? The alliance is part of the
But they're going to need other teams to lose to get there. I don't see them losing this game. Then if you have Oklahoma undefeated, Ohio State undefeated, Georgia with one loss in the SEC championship and undefeated Alabama. Well, head to head, they beat Clemson. Bam, you're sitting out. So for me, looking at it, Clemson needs this for Clemson. Georgia needs this for Kirby.
Yeah, they need it for, it's public perception moving forward.
Yeah, you got to change that perception.
Yeah.
And this ain't a perception. I'm not saying picking on Kirby. This ain't a perception that Kirby started. Bless his heart. He just came into this. This has been a perception for 41 years.
Yeah, this is much bigger than just Kirby.
Yeah, and it's much bigger than just UGA.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a statewide issue that we've had going on. So real quick before we get out of here, what's your score update or score prediction?
I think it's not. I think the over was like 52.5.
Yeah.
I don't think they're hitting that. I'm gonna go 24-17 dogs.
24-17. Yeah, 52.5 line. Plus, it's a 3 points. Georgia's
3 points. Yeah.
So you're looking at it. I think the fan in me says one thing. I think Georgia does win the game, regardless. The final score, I would give it a 37-30 type feel.
Yeah.
I do think
that'd be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I think there is going to be. It's going to come
24-17 would be fun to me too. But
I think the scoring is going up in every game. I think the further we separate, each year. The national championship last time somebody won with less than 30.
Yeah, everybody keeps dropping 40.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to take a lot of points to win. I think Georgia can get these points early, and that's going to make it real nerve-wracking for Georgia fans. I do think we're going to have to hold on to win this, but I do think we win it by a touchdown. It might be a 37-34 even, but I'll say 37-30. Kicking game is going to play a big part in this.
Hot pod, you say?
Yeah. I think, Jackpot.
No.
I think Jackpot's going to have a big one, and just hit the extra point. Somebody's going to have a mistake or something's going to happen, and will Muschamp's boys be ready to go? So that's all we got. Hopefully, we can be chatting next week about a big Bulldogs victory. But be sure to subscribe to Kudzu Sports, and that's all we got.